MAUGA has finally been announced, and with how many leaks and teasers were leading up to his reveal, it was pretty obvious it was going to be him. With some old sprays featuring him and Baptiste being updated in the game and the Samoa map being released, even featuring some Easter eggs like his massive shirt and a book with Baptiste's picture circled, it was kind of a no-brainer. But it's still pretty lucky that they didn't pull a bait and switch like they did with Orissa's launch in Overwatch 1, which was heavily implied to be for Doomfist instead. He only came a couple months later. MAUGA is also not locked away until December 5th, when he's officially released in Season 8, and is playable over this weekend on the live client in every game mode except for competitive mode, which makes a lot of sense. This is completely unprecedented since every previous BlizzCon hero reveal has always had the new hero exclusively locked to those at the event. It's really nice to be able to get a trial run before his official release without going all the way to BlizzCon. His design looks great, and so do his abilities, so let's get right into his kit. It was to be expected, but MAUGA is a high damage, high sustain, close range brawling tank, with abilities based off of engaging his enemies to get the most value out of his utility. MAUGA, being previously a part of Talon in the lore, is based off of the heavy weapons enemy from the PvE missions from Overwatch 1, with dual Gatling guns and a charging ability. His main source of damage with his guns is similar to Wrecking Ball, but definitely way more intimidating and also with more utility. He's got two fire types, one for each of his Gatling guns on his primary fire and secondary fire. You also have the option to fire them individually or together at the same time for maximum damage output. Primary fire, the incendiary gun called Gunny, sets targets on fire after hitting enough shots, similar to how Mei's primary fire used to freeze targets after hitting enough ticks of damage. And his second gun combos with it perfectly, the volatile chain gun Cha-Cha. Funny names for some pretty serious damage output, as his secondary fire is his main source of damage, and the big kicker is that it deals critical damage to enemies that have been ignited by Gunny. You're going to want to combo the two as much as possible, because his passive ability Berserker gives him overhealth when he deals critical damage. This overhealth decays over time, just like Doomfist, but if you can keep activating the effects during the fight, you'll be way more tanky, and you can also play to build extra health before you engage to make your engage even more sturdy. For his first ability, just like the heavy Talon enemy, he's got a charge, but it's not just any old mobility type or even like Reinhardt's. During his overrun ability, he becomes unstoppable, unaffected by any slows, stuns, or knockbacks, just like Orisa and Fortify while he dashes forward. This is definitely great for both engaging and escaping, and when he ends his charge, he jumps up and slams down, knocking back everyone in the area, which is perfect for getting boop kills, just like Reinhardt can with his pin. For a tank who's definitely meant to be engaging, and engaging really hard, he's got to have some sort of defensive ability, and MAUGA's version of that is his Cardiac Overdrive, where he creates an aura that gives damage reduction and lifesteal to himself and his allies. Although Reaper and Moira already have a lifesteal, the ability to give it to any hero in the game will open up a ton of new strategies and playstyles. They'll still mostly be focusing on rushing in with overwhelming strength, but it's pretty cool that this is now available in the game. And fittingly, Reaper can maybe finally be playable, since he's actually historically been very strong when his lifesteal has been high. A Reaper, MAUGA, and even Moira squad for the full bad guy stack, running in with damage reduction, lifesteal, and shotguns and healing on full blast definitely sounds strong, and also pretty fun. The ability itself is also based off of the fact that he literally has two hearts. Pretty crazy, but also a super cool design choice for a tank hero. Finally, his ultimate, and if everything sounds good to you so far, it's getting even better. His ult, called Cage Fight, traps enemies within range in a cylindrical shield that blocks damage and healing from outside and gives MAUGA infinite ammo. It's a classic competitive game ability that's even found its way into Valorant, forcing your targets into a fight for survival. It's a top-tier explosive ultimate, not only being great for singling someone out to focus them down, but also for comboing with your allies, since locking heroes into a small area is perfect for hitting them with all you've got. For a first look, he seems really strong, having a lot of the right abilities and effects to compete with the high level of the game right now. The biggest things that stand out are his critical hit potential, damage resistance and lifesteal, and the CC immunity on his charge. He's definitely really similar to Junker Queen, being a very aggressive brawling hero with a powerful ally buffing type ability that can be used both offensively and defensively. It's a great ability and also really versatile. Tanks like Winston and Wrecking Ball have to engage the enemy consistently to get value. Just hanging back and peeling your team is a generally terrible way to play them. But the way MAUGA looks, it seems he has the flexibility to switch between both styles of play. So he's got the options, but he's still definitely ideal for brawling, getting most of his value during the engage rather than sitting back and poking, although his damage range is pretty sustainable. Let's compare him to the rest of the brawl and rush tanks to see who he beats and what compositions he fits into best. The other tanks that are ideal for rushing in and playing for the close range engage are Reinhardt, Ramattra, Junker Queen, Zarya, and Orisa. Winston is sometimes viable, like in the Sojourn Reaper composition played almost exclusively in the Season 5 Overwatch League playoffs, but for the entirety of the rest of Overwatch 2, he's been mostly restricted to dive compositions. The most important ones are shields, damage reduction, mobility, and close range damage. Reinhardt, for example, has a top tier shield and close range damage and sufficient mobility, but lacks damage reduction, meaning when Bastion and Echo start arriving on the scene, it gets a little bit hard to stick around. For MAUGA, high damage will definitely still affect his ability to stay in the fight, since he doesn't have the crazy damage reduction like Ramattra or even Orisa have, but combined with his lifesteal, it should be enough to survive to push another day. Junker Queen is another example, who has super high damage and a team-wide speed boost that is one one of the strongest abilities in the game, but without a shield she cannot block any abilities for herself or her team, meaning Earth Shatter, Biotic Nade, and Captive Sun will all get maximum value. MAUGA is super close to suffering the same fate, but with his charge he at least has CC immunity, and though just like Orisa can't block Reinhardt's Shadow for her team, he has a personal option to beat him in the matchup, with an option to survive and also boop away any follow-up to the engage. Ramattra, the most recent tank besides MAUGA, is definitely more of an all-rounder, with a decent shield, a small ounce of mobility with his Nemesis form speed boost, and top-tier damage reduction and close-range pressure. When compared to Ramattra, it's a bit clearer that MAUGA doesn't have the most amazing kill-threatening abilities, since although both of his Gatling guns are great, they can still be blocked, whereas Ramattra's pummeling punches are what makes him so good as a brawl tank. Not needing to break through the tank first is amazing for securing kills and pressure. MAUGA's Overrun is still great for forcing the engage, but it can be really easy to fall into the trap of only shooting the tank, and against Ramattra, he might actually be beat in the pre-fight poke phase. Ramattra's Omnic form staff is usually not very good, it doesn't really break shields very well, and a lot of tanks have the mitigation and even a small enough hitbox to dodge the maximum damage that's only a little bit over 100 DPS. But MAUGA, having a big hitbox and low mitigation besides his cardiac overdrive, could easily be matched by Ramatra's slow and shield, with the extra damage flowing through the staff to build his ultimate at the same time. It's definitely a good thing that MAUGA can't literally 3-2-1 run in with cardiac overdrive and overrun and, well, overrun your whole team, and so far it seems he's pretty balanced in that regard. I've already touched on it a bit, but MAUGA has quite a lot of weaknesses, and one of the biggest ones is his passive. With his main source of sustainability locked to his cardiac overdrive cooldown, high damage heroes can easily force him out of position when he doesn't have it, but he still has his Berserker passive that gives him overhealth when he deals critical damage. But dealing critical damage isn't always easy. Reinhardt's shield, Orisa's Fortify, Bastion's turret form, and even Wrecking Ball rolling around make it impossible to deal critical damage for MAUGA. It's pretty unrealistic to be able to shoot Bastion's weak spot while he's facing you, and even high mobility heroes can run circles around him, making it super hard to hit those shots. It's obviously still better than having no passive at all, but it'll definitely require really good mechanics and also spatial awareness to pull off. You can't play out in the open and expect to escape all the time, but with his charge you can at least work past it. Another weakness lies in his ultimate ability. His ultimate has a lot of people thinking that it's going to be busted. After all, tanks win almost every single 1v1 against damage heroes and supports, simply by having a massive health advantage and often some pretty lethal abilities like Javelin Spear and Carnage. But because Cage Fight doesn't only lock in one person, but everyone in your area, you can actually find yourself fighting the entire enemy team if they've all stacked together in preparation for your ultimate. It's going to be pretty funny to see the mind games between MAUGA and the enemy team as they try to play around the ultimate, the MAUGA looking to catch ideally just one hero and the rest of the team looking to rush him down. I don't think MAUGA will be a one-size-fits-all hero that will always be good in every situation, but he's definitely off to a good start, with a key theme being flexibility. He has a lot of different abilities for different playstyles. His Overrun is definitely looking powerful. Having both mobility and CC immunity on the same ability gives you so many options into so many situations. You can use it to dodge stuns and pretty importantly straight up leave Blizzard. Mei takes yet another L, but luckily she also has synergy with MAUGA, with both of them having the objective of getting up close and personal. His two chain guns are also great, and hitting every shot with both fire types is going to make it difficult to approach him at close range and escape him at long range. And it definitely goes without saying that Cardiac Overdrive has the potential to be a meta-defining ability, just like Iliari's primary fire revived an entire playstyle on her own. Moving on to the comps and synergy that MAUGA supports. Although Baptiste and MAUGA would be a fitting combo, Moira fits a lot better, with MAUGA allowing for hyper-aggressive play where everyone pushes in with his damage reduction and lifesteal aura, and if Baptiste is with the squad while that happens, despite the damage reduction, he'll definitely become more of a target. If Iliari can bring back hard spam 5-man angle compositions, MAUGA can definitely bring back the 5-man int rush, where the goal is to stack your abilities and run in hard, everyone firing on all cylinders. The only other tank that can come close to pulling this type of style off is likely Junker Queen, but compared to Cardiac Overdrive, Queen's Shout has pretty limited sustaining capabilities, with its primary bonus being the speed boost. I'm looking forward to both playing as MAUGA and against him during the free trial, so make sure to keep an eye out on the channel for more videos about the newest hero throughout the weekend. Thanks for watching and see you next time.